Moment while I check we are live. All right, I think we are live. Sorry for that. Welcome back, everybody, after a Easter weekend. I hope you all enjoyed your time with your family. Welcome back to this latest episode of the ACSS News broadcast. We are following the sanctions and we try to make sense of the latest sanctions against Russia. And we will guide you through what's happening in the world of sanctions against Russia and why it matters for your business. So my name is Saskia Rietbroek, and I'm the Executive Director of the Association of Certified Sanctions Specialists, or ACSS. I'm coming to you live from the Netherlands, and I hope you will visit our website at sanctionsassociation.org. We provide a bunch of training courses, certification, and also our conference in Miami later this year. So looking forward to seeing you there. All right, in this broadcast, we provide some latest news on the sanctions against Russia and the developments and the impact that these things have for businesses in different parts of the world. And in this particular episode, we're going to be talking about Gazprom Bank and payments for gas. As you may remember, a couple of weeks ago, President Putin from Russia highlighted the need to limit Russia's exposure to sanctions like asset freezes. This was when the UK had just placed Gazprom Bank on the sanctions list. And Putin ordered the Russian central bank and the Russian and other agencies in the Russian government to make plans for ruble gas payments within a week. And then about a week later, the end of March, there it was. Russia came out with a decree. It was signed by Putin on March 31st. And it established a special procedure, as they called it, which contains instructions generally meant to establish some sort of ruble payment mechanism for gas. So it basically regulated the supply of natural gas by Gazprom to buyers from several so-called unfriendly countries, including major EU importers of Russia gas, of course. So basically, it regulates these contracts that are executed as of April 1, 2022. So this new payment mechanism was intended to apply to a bunch of gas supply contracts, of course, that the Russians have with the European companies and other companies. And in practice, the buyers can pay in original hard currency like euros or dollars as is stipulated in the contract, but those euros or dollars are then converted into rubles before the payment is finalized. So some sort of currency switching system. And so European companies and others have been using this system since it started. But now there are press reports, Politico reported on this last week, just before Easter holiday, that there's now a warning from Brussels that this currency switching scheme could contravene sanctions against Russia. So this can put you in a difficult position, of course, as a European or Russian company. So it faces you basically to make a very tough choice. You could tell your gas buying companies to refuse to do what Putin wants. Like the Netherlands and Germany, I heard, did that. They said that companies should not comply with the Kremlin's demands. So at the risk, of course, of not receiving any more Russian gas anymore. Other countries like Italy, they're still weighing their options. And I heard that Hungary, also a member of the EU, has announced that it said, the companies could pay in rubles. So basically, Hungary is risking defying their own sanctions. EU sanctions. So how would it work? We prepared a small slide here on this mechanism that you see the source here on this slide as well. So basically, the decree requires that the buyer applies to open two special accounts called K-type with an authorized bank, in this case, Gazprom Bank. And then there's 4 steps, as you see on this slide. So basically, first, the buyer of the gas transfers funds into a special currency K account in the foreign currency. Then Gazprom Bank sells the foreign currency at the foreign exchange, Moscow exchange well, they sell the foreign currency there. And then Gazprom Bank transfers the ruble proceeds to the buyer's ruble-denominated K account. And then Gazprom Bank transferred the ruble funds from the buyer's account to Gazprom's account in Gazprom Bank. So this is basically how it would work. And now, according to an assessment by the European Commission, this system would breach European sanctions because it would grant Russia control over the timing and rate of foreign currency conversion. And so anyway, this is some sort of they said that it would be some sort of circumventing sanction scheme, would be some sort of circumvention of sanctions with the second bank account that whose purpose is to circumvent the sanctions. So and of course they don't want that to happen, right? They don't want any circumvention of the European sanction to some sort of backdoor. So I haven't seen the official communique yet, but this is what I read in Politico. And it will put companies in between a rock and a hard place, because if you're a globalized business, you may get your gas from Russia. You may even operate also in Russia, and you have to, you have to adhere to multiple laws in multiple jurisdictions, for instance, in Russia and the EU. So you have to be cognizant of laws like this Russian decree in other jurisdictions where you also operate. And when these regimes conflict, in this case, right, that Russia says you have to pay like this, and the European Union said, well, you cannot do that because then you would breach EU sanctions. You are really left grappling with a decision whether or not you should proceed with these transactions as Putin wants or not. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is reputation and the commercial risk. You have to also factor that into the process when considering following this decree or not, because you may also think, what is my bank going to do? Remember that the UK has sanctioned Gazprom Bank several weeks ago, had placed it on the list. The EU so far has spared Gazprom Bank from sanctions, just because it's one of the main channels for payment for Russian oil and gas, right? So that they haven't placed it on the list, and we'll see if that happens with the next round of sanctions. But right now, there is a disconnect when it comes to sanctions against Gazprom Bank. So UK listed, EU sanctions not listed. So what are the banks going to do? Often with US sanctions, even though you're not a US company, a lot of companies in the European Union will follow US sanctions. Would companies like in the US or companies in Europe follow UK sanctions? And I actually asked a couple of banks, and they said, well, some of the mid-sized banks, they will say, we're not following UK sanctions unless there is a UK nexus. So we only look at, the list from the UK where Gazprom Bank is on it, if there is a UK nexus. But, when you talk to some of the larger banks, like global banks, they will follow all sanctions, right? So then, even though there is no UK nexus, they may stop a payment when it involves Gazprom Bank just because it's on the UK list. So, not easy. It's a tricky topic, and I look forward to receiving any comments in the chat about this. So, thank you very much. This was it for my presentation today. And let's see if there's any questions. Thank you very much for your comment there. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. And if not, we will see you tomorrow again. Tomorrow, my colleague Alex Witt will cover export controls, and I will be back with a show on Thursday. So thank you very much, and have a nice rest of your day. Bye-bye.